In this video, I'm going to show you how I installed a carbon fiber steering wheel on my 2008 Lexus IS F. Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel, here with another Lexus IS F video. I was just out for a cruise in the IS F using the new steering wheel, so let me show you what I got. Here's what I got. It's a carbon fiber steering wheel custom from Elvin Carbon Fiber on Instagram. Now, the package I got came with these special front door lights. They go into the side doors and project a big F logo onto the ground, and they look awesome. Here's the steering wheel. I got the carbon fiber paddles. I got blue with the F, blue stitching, leather. This was a custom spec that I wanted with the blue line at the top, and it just looks really good. You can see the Elvin Carbon Fiber logo in the back of the wheel. It also came with a button trim that's carbon fiber to match. Now here's my original steering wheel. It is 14 years old, being a 2008. It does have some wear and tear, and I figured, why not upgrade it and bring it from this to this? Now I'm going to walk through all the steps how to do this. The first thing is to get the steering wheel straight and remove the negative battery terminal because you don't want airbags going off in your face. Next is to remove the two plastic panels on the side of the steering wheel. This will allow you to access the Torx bit on each side, which loosens up the airbag center portion. I'm a firm believer in power tools, so I used my little Milwaukee impact to break these loose on each side, and then the center comes out. Now keep in mind there are three things attached to it. It's two cables for the airbag, which I'll show you how to get off, and then one for ground. Once that's out of the way, you can disconnect these two connectors that go into the clock spring, and then it's best to get a flathead to pop these airbag connectors out. Now, don't be afraid of this if you're doing this for the first time. This was my second time ever doing it, and the battery's unplugged, so nothing's going to happen. And they are keyed black and orange, so you can't mess it up. Once the ground is removed, the center horn and airbag section is free and can be put to the side. Next, the cables that are in the way could be moved out of the way, taking out of their anchored positions, and kind of just move to the side so that we'll be able to pull this wheel off. This also gives access to the 19mm nut that holds the steering wheel on. Now, you could do this the manual way if you're going to do this with a ratchet, but I prefer to use my Milwaukee impact once again. So I'll start by loosening this and getting it almost to the end, and with the impact it comes off so easily. So I'll thread it back on a few threads because I don't want this steering wheel to fly at me when I try to take it off. This ensures that the steering wheel will stay on while loosening it up, and you can see the steering wheel is now loose and can be pulled off. Now the airbag wires will go through the steering wheel. They'll stay on the clock spring, and you do not want that to turn, so be very careful if you're taking this off, and try to keep that straight as I did here. And then the steering wheel comes off, you're good to go, and transfer everything over. The next step is to take everything from this stock steering wheel and put it onto the new one. It's a little bit tedious of a process. There are a bunch of screws, but they're mostly Phillips, and it's not really hard. It's just time consuming. So first things first is remove all the Phillips screws that I can see. This particular screw secures the side button moldings to the steering wheel, and that's something we need to change anyway, so we definitely want to take that out. And then these actually just pop right out while still being wired in. Next, what I did is just disconnect everything in sight while trying to remember where it goes, but it is pretty easy and straightforward, so there's not many other places it could go. Next would be the cruise control stock and controls. That's all plugged in right there. It's secured with two screws, and then it comes right out. Next, it's time to disconnect the paddle shifters. I found that a small flathead screwdriver made it easiest to pop these out and feed them through the wheel and remove all of the wiring. Now the last part on this will be the paddles themselves, and the only reason I need to remove those is because I want to get this plastic trim. So I have to remove the two screws on the paddles. Now these are the stock magnesium paddles, and they're still really nice. I have no problem with them. So So those are removed, and now on the front side, I forgot 2 screws that hold on the plastic trim, shielding, whatever you want to call it. Once those are removed, the whole thing comes off, and now this wheel is done, and we can focus on the new wheel and pretty much do everything in the reverse order. The new wheel came with the paddle secured on with 1 screw, so we'll remove that, put on the plastic trim, and like I said, do everything in the reverse order. Flip it around, put the 2 screws in to secure the plastic to the wheel, and we can build from there. Now the carbon fiber paddles can go on. It's just 2 screws on the back. And I do want to mention that this is a factory wheel that's been built on top of, as far as I know, because the hardware, the actual shell of it is exactly the same. So my old wheel could be recycled to make one of these, which is kind of cool that it's reusable like that. Next, this metal piece goes back on the front, and it has clips for the wires and 2 screws as well. I believe this has some weighting in it, also maybe some extra bracing, because it is heavier than all of the other pieces and seems to give the top of the steering wheel its weight. Once that's in, the cruise control stock can go in. I did this prematurely. I probably should have left this till last or connected it before I put it in, because I had to fix that later, as you'll see, but I just threw it in now. There's no harm, no foul. Next will be the button trim. Now this looks like the same piece. It's plastic also, it just has carbon fiber on the front, but it's 3 small Phillips screws on the back, and then the whole kind of button assembly comes out, and you can see the rubber and the actual plastic. Now be very careful at this step. I did drop a plastic piece and had to search around for it, and my hang up button still doesn't work exactly as it should, but I don't really use that anyway. You can see there it just kind of gets stuck because I lost one of the pieces, but once that's all back together, you can just pop on the prongs. There's 3 little prongs and it snaps right in. Then we secure it with the Phillips screws and do the same thing for the other side. Here's what I was talking about earlier. I had to remove the cruise control stock to get the connector in and get the wiring all set, and then I can move on to the connectors for the paddle shifters. Now everything is installed on the wheel and we can put it in the car. First things first is to route the airbag connectors through the wheel and have the white connectors that go onto the clock spring ready to go. Then the wheel can be mounted onto the hub where it will be secured with the 19mm nut, and then we can plug in the white connectors. Now wire management here is important. If something is too short or not connecting correctly, it may be in wrong, but it's pretty hard to mess up just because of the lengths of the wires. It can only really go in one of 2 ways, and you can see here I'm just moving the ground wire for the airbag. With the wire set, I could put the nut on and take the 19mm and secure the wheel to the hub. Then the ground is reconnected to the airbag, as well as the black and orange connectors, which go in, and then the yellow piece on top is clicked in to secure it. I also moved the button wiring into its respective anchor just because I forgot to do that earlier, and it helps with cable management. And then the airbag and horn assembly can be fitted onto the wheel and screwed in from the side with the Torx bits and secured that way. That's how it stays in there and does not fly out at you. With all that said, here is the new steering wheel and it looks awesome. The last step is to reconnect the negative terminal on the battery and start the car. And the buttons are working, volume is changing. I do still have a TPMS sensor out. I gotta get that installed and programmed. No biggie there. Quick note over here, I just literally smudged this off. This has been an ongoing thing in the last 2 videos, if you've seen them. This is broken, so I actually found a piece where I can order the whole clock. So I'm waiting for that to come in, and then we won't have this cracked piece here. So far, everything looks good. And I will say, I don't think the blue line is exactly in the center. There's some kind of optical illusion going on there maybe. So far the steering wheel feels great. The paddle shifters work nicely. They're about the same weight kind of feel, but they are extended, being the carbon fiber, and it's just really nice. It's nice to look at, it's nice to hold, nice to drive with. Yeah, like I said, my only complaint is this doesn't seem in the exact center, but I did want to take a drive, show you how it works and everything like that. And paddle shifters work as well. This thing feels so much better and it looks really cool, so I'm definitely glad I got it. The other steering wheel wasn't as thick and was a little bit worn, and this flat bottom one just looks awesome and feels awesome. Definitely contact Elvin if you're looking to get some carbon fiber interior stuff. He does a bunch of stuff, and this wheel was a really good deal with even the door lights. So drop in the comments, what do you think of the new steering wheel? You like it, hate it, don't think you would do it? I think it looks really cool and I'm gonna enjoy it, and I really like the blue stitching and just the whole look of it. So if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, follow along. Thank you for watching, and as always, keep those wheels turning. So